Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of Christian music's most polarizing figures. Is he a prophet for a new generation, or just a really well-marketed product? This is the Forrest Frank paradox. I mean, get this. The guy has more monthly listeners on Spotify than Drake. To millions, he's this incredibly authentic voice of faith. But to millions of others, he's just, well, annoying, an inauthentic marketing persona. So what is going on here? How can one person be both of these things at the same time? All right, let's really dig into it. We're going to pull back the curtain and try to answer the big question. Is what we're seeing an organic ministry taking off, or is it just some perfectly engineered momentum? And to really get a grip on this, we've got to go back to the beginning. But here's the twist. The story doesn't start with music, it starts with money and a very specific kind of education. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this has to be music industry nepotism, right? Family connections. But that's not really the case here. Yeah, his family was musical, but they didn't have the heavy hitter connections to launch a career like this. The real leg up, it came from a totally different place. Instead, what we're looking at is a major financial head start. And that kind of privilege, it gives you a different kind of advantage in the industry, one that can be just as powerful, if not more so. So, what does that financial privilege get you? Well, for one, access to some seriously elite and seriously expensive education. We're talking private schools, top-tier university. The tuition for some of these places per year is more than what a lot of people make in a whole year. It's a different world. And here is the absolute kicker. His degree, it wasn't in music theory or performance. It was in professional selling from Baylor. Think about that. It's a business major that's all about marketing, analyzing trends, and sales strategy. It literally teaches you how to build a brand and sell a product. And boy, would those skills come in handy.
Okay, so he's got this powerful business degree. What's the first move? It's not straight into ministry. Nope. He takes that brand-building knowledge and puts it to the test in the world of mainstream pop music.
And this is a part of the story a lot of people just don't know. Before he was a solo Christian artist, Forrest Frank was one half of a super successful band called Surfaces. And they didn't just have a hit, they had a massive global smash. You probably remember the song Sunday Best. It felt like it just blew up out of nowhere, right? Just this organic, feel-good song that everyone loved. Well, not quite. Turns out it was the result of a very deliberate multi-million-dollar marketing campaign on TikTok run by a viral agency whose whole job is to make things go viral. And this just shows you the insane power of that viral machine. The campaign was a wild success. We're talking over 20 million videos made by users with that song. It shot the band right to the top of the charts. This wasn't a happy accident. This was pure engineering. But you know how these stories go? While everything looked great on the outside, behind the scenes, things were getting tense. Frank himself has talked about it, mentioning legal disputes and feeling like he was stolen from. And all that friction is what eventually led him to go solo.
And this is where things get really interesting. It's the moment the lines start to get blurry. And that central conflict we're talking about, the one between marketing and ministry, it just comes right into the spotlight. His whole solo brand is kind of built on these two opposing ideas. You've got what feels like real, authentic moments. The impromptu songs, the public prayers, talking about messages he gets from God. But then, when you look closer, those same moments often feel like they're following a perfect marketing script. We're talking stage-looking videos, turning personal suffering into content, really strategic announcements. A perfect example of this is his back injury back in 2025. So he has a skateboarding accident. Okay, that happens. But it almost immediately turned into this huge content series. First, you get all these videos of him in pain, posting from his bed. Then, suddenly, there's a miraculous and super fast healing. And what happens right after? Boom! A brand new song called God's Got My Back, written while he was injured. The timing was impeccable. Then there are those viral videos for his song Good Day. You've probably seen them. The whole premise was him creating the song on the spot, completely impromptu, to cheer up strangers. It looked like these beautiful, spontaneous moments of ministry. The only thing is, the song was already written and recorded. It was a finished product. So that kind of raises a tough question, right? If the song already exists, how impromptu are these moments really?
Where do you draw the line between genuine ministry and a marketing stunt that's just designed to look genuine?
And it's not just about the music. He's also built some pretty significant, direct ways to make money. For example, he has an exclusive fan club called the Treehouse, where fans pay a monthly subscription fee. And here's the wild part. Even though people in the group say it's mostly inactive, it's still estimated to be pulling in over $50,000 every single month. And that's just the fan club. We haven't even touched his streaming money. Just from Spotify, based on his listener numbers, the estimate is he's making over $420,000 a month. A month. So you can imagine people started asking questions about all this money, especially after he came out and said that industry awards were basically against his relationship with Jesus. But when he was asked about his finances, he completely shut it down, saying what he does with his money is between him and God and nobody else's business. This whole thing really blew up in 2025 around the Dove Awards. That's like the Grammys for Christian music. So the day before the awards, he drops a video saying he's withdrawing all his nominations because of his personal convictions. It threw the whole event into chaos. Other artists were confused and pretty frustrated with the last-minute public announcement. It even led to Jelly Roll publicly questioning if he was going to reject all that money that's supposedly for Jesus with the same energy. So where does this all leave us? After looking at the business strategy, the crazy numbers, all the controversies, you realize there isn't a simple yes or no answer. What we're left with is actually a much bigger, more important question. Because in the end, this whole Forrest Frank paradox, it's not really just about him. It kind of holds up a mirror to our world, forcing us to ask a really tough question. In an age where everything is a brand, when faith itself becomes a product, how can any of us tell what's actually real anymore?